All right guys, beautiful morning here at the shop, and it's time for concrete. So let's go in here and fill some holes. Since the location of the foundations are so far into the shop and away from the main doors, we had to bring in a pump truck to pump the concrete. Now you'll see here we've got a form in place, and this is holding a recess into the concrete where the anvil for the big power hammer is going to sit down into. Now we had a little bit of trouble with this. They tap-conned the frame into the concrete to hold it in place, but the pressures of the concrete as it started flowing upwards and started filling really started to put a lot of pressure on that form, and as you can see here, it started to bend it upwards. Now this form had to stay in a very precise location, and so the crew grabbed some 2x4s from the carpenters and they started trying to brace it to push it back down because it has to be at a certain depth in a certain location. After a couple of cross braces, they went back to filling, and it wasn't good enough, so I had to bring in the forklift and actually set the forks of the forklift on top of the form to keep it from raising up. Luckily, this turned out to be the trick. As you'll see a little further on, we had a slight issue. It wasn't fully level, and we had to come back and fix that, but for the most part, the forklift did the trick. And while that's setting up, they fill the second one. This took 2 full trucks of concrete, 1 truck per hole. These holes are 6.5 feet deep, and they range in size between the 2 of them. So the guys are going to get this concrete finished out, and I didn't get it on camera, so we're going to go ahead and mention that form was slightly unlevel. And the next day, the concrete guys came back and they chipped out a little bit of the bottom and re-leveled the bottom of that hole where the bottom of the form is, and leveled it all out, and we're all good to go now. Here's a quick update on the grinding room. Carpenter's hard at work getting the framing wrapped up. This grinding room is 10 feet deep and is 35 feet long. It's going to have 2 windows in it, its own air system for changing out all the air and exhausting it outside and filtering all that dust out. And we're getting close to being ready for wiring and drywall. Concrete has now set overnight. They're getting ready to pull that form out and, as I mentioned earlier, chip out some of that concrete in the bottom. Windows are in the grinding room. We are pretty much ready for electric and drywall at this point. Very excited about the grinding room. So some other things that were happening is they cut the new door for the new garage bay, and they laid the gravel outside for the ramp. On this side, you can see we've got brand new windows put in. This is where the new studio is going to go, and they have framed up this wall and put in the new windows in preparation. In the current office and break room, we've removed all of the popcorn from the ceiling, so making progress on that. On the far side of the building, we've got some pallet racks that we've put up. These are for storage, just Gator Piss, boxes and whatnot. On the back side of the building, we've got our new propane tanks installed, 2 1,000-gallon tanks, and those are getting plumbed into the building as we speak. All right, guys, so that is the end of the concrete pour. They will have to come back and do a little bit of touch-up work, as I mentioned earlier, but for the most part, concrete is in. So the cure clock starts now, and pretty soon we'll be putting a power hammer on these foundations. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in next week for the arrival of a giant rolling mill.